Good morning, Nigeria. It's Monday, the 8th of September 2025, and this is Daybreak Live on Dominion Television. I am Samson Balogun.
And I'm Muluayemi Adelako. A brand new week, a brand new opportunity to ask the tough questions, unpack the political drama, and shed light on the issues shaping our democracy.
Right, this morning we begin with a headline sparking fierce debate. The Department of State Services reportedly directed formerly Twitter, to take down a post by activist Omoyele Sowore.
For many, this is about more than social media. It raises deeper questions about free expression in Nigeria. Where exactly is the line between national security and citizens' right to speak out?
Well, and for democracy, that depends on open debate. The real issue is whether actions like this safeguard stability or silence dissenting voices.
Plenty to unpack, and we'll be digging deeper into these and other stories driving conversations today. Ahead, we'll bring you the latest update and a sharp look at the biggest headlines across the dailies.
Right, and in today's big story, we turn the economy and labor politics with a burning question: Dangote versus Nupeng, monopoly fears, and the future of petroleum distribution. Our guest is Dr. Babatunde Babasanya, a medical consultant, communications specialist, and public affairs analyst, who also sits on the board of several organizations in Nigeria and beyond.
This is not just about one company or one union. It's about policy, fairness, and whether Nigeria can truly build an economy driven by competition rather than concentrated power.
And before we wrap up, we'll bring you Trend Watch, spotlighting the debates and viral conversations happening across the country, Nigeria.
Definitely, it's Monday morning, the energy is high, the questions are firm, and the conversations will be intelligent. This is Daybreak Live on Dominion Television. Your week begins here.
Right.
Good morning, Samson.
Good to be here again.
Definitely.
Yeah,
it's a great week.
Hope you had a wonderful week.
I did.
I trust our viewers also had a wonderful weekend.
Honestly, looking at your face alone, I'm sure you had a great week.
So how do you pin that? How do you get to it?
I have my ways.
Okay, that sounds interesting anyway.
Yeah.
You look good too. Good to have you back. Definitely. All right, let's talk about the DSS petitioning X, formerly Twitter, to pull down a particular post made by an activist, Omoyele Sowore, saying, look, when it comes to national security and how you put the president out there, really does not sit down well with the presidency. And we can't say it's just DSS. This is the presidency in action. But the truth of the matter is this going to stifle how people express themselves on social media, or probably pin down, maybe benchmark what people can actually put out there? But I am of the opinion that the government still reserves the right to control social media in one way or the other.
I think you have a very good point, which is very valid, but I would like to start from Sowore himself. You see, over time, I think sometimes it goes overboard, which is comment. Yes, according to the Constitution, you have every right, freedom of expression, to express yourself. You can decide to be part of the dissenting voices in the country to say, we don't like this, we don't like that. But let me read out the tweet to you. It says, this criminal at official bar actually went to Brazil to state that there is no more corruption under his regime in Nigeria. What audacity to lie shamelessly. And because the president in Brazil said that, okay, we've been able to beat down corruption and the likes, the economy is booming.
I mean, you don't mention that corruption was totally gone. You just said at least to the bare minimum, we have been able to reduce it.
Beat it down. And of course, Sowore came out to say this, and of course, you know, there have been a lot of retweets, a lot of comments about that, and that the DSS, through the federal government, you know, wrote to the boss of X to say that deactivate his account, and of course, you know, pull down this tweet, even the retweets. And then X, in return, reached out to Sowore to say that we received this information from the DSS asking us to deactivate your account, but we can't do that without your consent. So it's either you hire a lawyer to speak for you. I think DSS going through X-boss, I don't think is the right move, regardless of the fact that Sowore was wrong, you know, using the word criminal. Just recently, if you recall, Deji Adeyanju called Peter Obi some unprintable names. And in turn, Peter Obi sued him.
Right.
It took the matter to the court. So I expect DSS to go through that process, because DSS is now coming out to say that because Sowore used the word criminal, then it's a threat to national security, this and that. I think it's a little bit too extra to say that just one tweet can cause, you know, national security. I agree with the fact that it does not portray us well as a country, I mean, to other international countries. But these are the issues. DSS going through the ex-boss, I think it will only amplify the voice of Sowore, if anything. You will get more followers. I'm very certain of that. I've not been following, you know, his number of followers. You get more followers, more retweets. It's become more popular. Most people who don't know him before now know him. So I don't think that was a right move from DSS. The matter could have been taken to the court, because DSS is saying, according to the law, he has faulted or he has done something wrong according to the Constitution. He's not supposed to do that. You know, it does not portray us well. Sowore is saying, I have every right to speak. Freedom of expression.
I mean, he doesn't even stay that much in Nigeria. He's also an American citizen. So he could actually, you know, travel to America and start posting whatever it is he wants to post.
Yeah.
Everybody will say a thing.
And that's one thing about the law. You see, people who understand the law often use it to satisfy their own agenda. Right. Because we've seen, there was even a time that Sowore said that the federal government, you know, charged him with some cases that he doesn't think those guys went to law school. They sound like affidavit lawyer. Sowore is like that.
Yeah, you see, when you have studied the Constitution so much, what you'll be looking for, especially for lawyers, what they are looking for almost all the time is the loophole to plug into when there is a challenge, and then they know exactly where to go through. In fact, most of them have, you know, they already have the knowledge of what exactly to do when a particular scenario, you know, pops up anywhere, any day. But then let's go through history. You know, and countries that have actually gone through this. I think in 2024, between March and June 2020, March 2024 and June 2025, just this year, India had the same issue. But what they did is they went to court. Now, they filed a lawsuit in March 2025 in an high court in Karnataka, and challenging the expanded takedown authority, which, see, the truth, just like you said, there are processes to these things. And I think most times, I don't want to, you know, say it this way, but you see, the Nigerian government, and most especially, you know, the agencies, parastatals, ministries, they sometimes jump the gun. You know, we have seen situations where the FCC, you know, without having a concrete case against someone, you know, they charge that person to court, and then the court in turn, you know, throws the case out of court and says, look, you don't have, you know, the ground to bring this person to court in the first place because you don't even have enough evidences. So these are more are the things we should be keeping into. Before we waste taxpayers' money on going to court on certain things, why not do your due diligence, find enough evidence before you even go to court? Now, on this issue of Omoyele Sowore, I think the DSS, you know, probably took 2 steps at a time. You know, they should have actually, if you know, they had gone to court, they got a judgment, and you know, the tweet has not been taken down, then they can now go to the ex-boss, which is Elon Musk, and say, look, we have a court injunction that says this post must be taken down, and then we want you to do that for us. I think that should have been the step.
That would have made more sense, honestly, because when we talk about the Constitution now, the DSS is quoting Nigerian Constitution, same 1999. Sowore and the likes and his followers are also quoting Constitution. That's one thing about the law. When you have a right to do something, and then the extent to which you can exercise that right is not determined, there's a problem. So he has the right of you know, expressing himself, but to what extent? There's a particular video speaking about how Sowore sometimes can be a little bit extra, really. I don't want to talk about that much, but I want to say this. There was a video I saw where Sowore said, they said the president stopped drinking. And I was like, really? You know, there's a better way to prove that. Even if you don't agree with what the president has said, I feel there's a better way to do that. So the DSS should know better. Sowore is not new in this business. He's not a baby activist. He's been there before some of us were born. Honestly, you can't even begin to compare him with the likes of VDM. When did VDM start? He's not a baby activist. There are better ways to undo Sowore. And speaking of having good evidence, there was a time that they charged Sowore with, they said he's into money laundering. And then he came out with, you know, accurate evidence to say that I only transfer money to my family in Nigeria. So he will always come with receipts. He's not a, he's very intelligent.
He knows too much
Definitely.
about you know, things, and he's always a step ahead of you know, the DSS. Anytime they want to pin something on him, he knows exactly what to do next. Now, you know, when we were talking about jurisdiction the other time, I think let's compare this case with what happened in Kenya recently. A Kenyan human rights court affirmed that Kenyan courts have jurisdiction in a lawsuit against Meta concerning harmful content that contributed to real-world violence and doxing. Now, that was April 2025. There was an issue, and then they went to court and said, look, this is Kenya. And then whatever is done within Kenya, post tweets that has to do with, you know, Kenyans and of course the Kenyan government should be controlled in one way or the other. And then they got a court injunction, you know, against Meta right there in Kenya. So what I'm going back to is the fact that this is Nigeria, and the government, in one way or the other, should define to what extent you can express yourself on social media.
Speaking of expressing yourself, sorry to quote you, let's go back to when President Muhammadu Buhari was the president of this country, and there was a Twitter ban, and Nigerians complained, they lamented bitterly, and when he brought it back, oh, a lot of persons celebrated. It seems we have not learned, like, you know, a lot. I mean, even
though at the time some people still used Twitter, just that they, you know, they found a way to bypass,
do that. So people are now saying this one that, you know, the DSS is writing to ex-boss to deactivate his account and bring down the post. Are we not going to see Twitter ban season 2? I don't think that is right at all. We operate a liberal democracy, regardless of the fact that Sowore has not really, you know, done well in terms of some of his comments. There are better ways to handle that. I mean, the entire Nigerian should not suffer for the sin of one man. And so going forward, DSS should know how to deal with Sowore in terms of the, he knows so much.
I just think before they take any decision, they should be so sure of the outcome. You know, there are sometimes when you want to take some decisions, you already know where this is heading to. I think that is the approach they should use against Sowore.
Going through the ex-boss is now looking like authoritarian kind of a thing. If you say we practice democracy,
this is not this.
Let's practice it. I mean, it's an entirety.
Regime.
Honestly,
so we should know how to, you know, dance around this and then make it, you know, a lot simpler than what we are currently seeing. Because this issue, for me, has been complicated in one way or the other, and it was done by the DSS. If they had followed the due process, you know, followed protocol, they probably wouldn't be here. And then making a mess of the federal, this is more or less like making a mess of the federal government out there. Because one, this actually puts Nigeria in a different situation to some people who are outside the country. They see Nigeria as a country where they don't think we practice democracy anymore. They just think, oh, the government just wakes up one morning and says, look, this thing is not happening again, and that's it.
And people who say we practice a tissue paper democracy, they've been justified in a way, even though they might be wrong in some instances. There are better ways to do things. Yes, Sowore was wrong. The DSS, I don't think that was the best way to handle the matter.
That wasn't actually. And that brings us to the end of this segment of the show this morning. Thank you for being a part of the show so far. Link up with us on all social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok at Dominion Broadcast, and on X, formerly Twitter, at Dominion Cast. You can also watch us live on our website, www.dominion.org.ng. Do well to subscribe to our YouTube channel at Dominion Broadcast. Let's go on a quick break, and when we return, we'll take Wegda Report. We'll be back.
Live from the heart of the action. Welcome to the nerve center of Next Level Broadcasting.
This is the OB van, where the studio meets the street.
Equipped with cutting-edge cameras, crystal clear audio, real-time switching, and broadcast control, we don't just capture moments, we deliver the experience live.
Anywhere, anytime, from stadiums to red carpets, breaking news to buzzing festivals, weddings, birthdays, and all sorts of ceremonies. We bring the world to your screen in real time.
It's not just a van, it's a complete mobile production house, a command center, a broadcast beast.
This is more than a broadcast. This is the OB Van difference. Live, loud, limitless.
Ready to go live? Like never before. Book the OB Van today and take your event to the world. One powerful broadcast at a time.
To book, call 0705 506 1061 or 0916 101 1061. Email marketing@dominion.org.ng or visit our socials on Instagram @Dominion Broadcast.
Dominion Broadcast, your channel of choice.
Welcome back from that short break. The show is still Daybreak Live right here on Dominion Television. Now it's time to take weather report on this show, and we head straight to the North Central this morning, and that is Niger State, Bida to be precise. This weather currently feels like 24 degrees Celsius, and but later in the morning it will rise to 26 degrees Celsius, cloudy right there in Bida, and of course later in the afternoon it will rise to 29 degrees Celsius. Isolated thunderstorms expected right there. And in the evening, it will be 25 degrees Celsius with scattered thunderstorms in Bida. And overnight, there will be thunderstorms at 24 degrees Celsius.
All right, let's cross over to Lagos State. Weather this morning feels like 26 degrees Celsius, partly cloudy, of course, around 14%. And then later this morning, it will still remain at 26 degrees Celsius, mostly cloudy, around 15%. And of course, later, it will go up to 27 degrees Celsius, mostly cloudy, around 14%. That's what we have this morning for Lagos State.
Right, and in Abuja this morning, the Federal Capital Territory, weather currently feels like 22 degrees Celsius, and later in the day it will rise to 26 degrees Celsius, and by night 21 degrees Celsius, and the dew point at 22 degrees Celsius. Humidity is expected to be at 100% right there in the FCT this morning.
Let's cross over to Ado, Ogun, Nigeria. Weather this morning feels around 27 degrees Celsius, cloudy, 15%. Afternoon, 29 degrees Celsius, mostly cloudy, around 19%. And in the evening, 25 degrees Celsius, mostly cloudy, around 9%. Overnight, 24 degrees Celsius, mostly cloudy, around 24%. If you're around that area, do well to prepare. That's what we have for Ogun, Nigeria this morning.
All right, and let's go to the southeast in Owerri, the Imo State capital. This morning, as weather currently feels like 23 degrees Celsius, it is currently cloudy right there in Owerri. And later in the day, it will rise to 28 degrees Celsius, and by night, 22 degrees Celsius in Owerri. And of course, wind is expected to be at 6 km per hour, dew point at 23 degrees Celsius, and humidity 100% right there in Imo.
All right, let's cross over to Enugu, North Nigeria this morning. Weather feels like 25 degrees Celsius, mostly cloudy, around 19%. In the afternoon, 27 degrees Celsius, thunderstorms around 61%. That's quite high. Do well to prepare for that. In the evening, 23 degrees Celsius, rain around 61%. Do well to prepare. The night, 23 degrees Celsius, showers around 49%. I don't think these people can escape rain today. Definitely do well to prepare for that.
Yeah. Keep your umbrella handy right there. And further up north in Kaduna, of course, this morning weather currently feels like 22 degrees Celsius. It will be cloudy right there in Kaduna, and later in the day it will rise to 27 degrees Celsius, and by night 21 degrees Celsius. Humidity is expected to be around 99%, and wind is at 8 km per hour, and dew point at 21 degrees Celsius in Kaduna.
All right, let's drive down to Ondo West this morning. Weather feels like 25 degrees Celsius, cloudy, around 16%. In the afternoon, 26 degrees Celsius, scattered thunderstorms around 41%. In the evening, 23 degrees Celsius, cloudy, around 24%. And of course, overnight, 23 degrees Celsius, rain, around 69%. And wind is about 5 kilometers per hour. Please do well to plan for that. That's for Ondo this morning.
All right, and today in Ogun, Ogun State, Nigeria, weather currently feels like 24 degrees Celsius. Later in the morning, it will rise to 27 degrees Celsius, cloudy there at 15%, and in the afternoon, it is expected to rise to 29 degrees Celsius, mostly cloudy at 19%, and also mostly cloudy in the evening at 25 degrees Celsius at 9%, and overnight, it will be also mostly cloudy in Ogun, and it will be at 24 degrees Celsius right there.
All right, we're not crossing over now. We want to talk about weather today in Agbowo. In the morning, weather feels like 25 degrees Celsius, cloudy around 10%. In the afternoon, 28 degrees Celsius, scattered thunderstorms around 47%. In the evening, 24 degrees Celsius, showers around 36%. And overnight, 23 degrees Celsius, light rain around 61%. And wind is about 6 kilometers per hour. That's what we have for Agbowo, Nigeria this morning.
Should be prepared for that later in the day.
In case you want
overnight.
to get to Agbowo later afterwards.
Just in case. All right, that will be the convenient point to, say we want to go on a short break. And when we return, we take the news. The show is still Daybreak Live on Dominion Television.
Live from the heart of the action. Welcome to the nerve center of Next Level Broadcasting.
This is the OB van, where the studio meets the street.
Equipped with cutting-edge cameras, crystal clear audio, real-time switching, and broadcast control, we don't just capture moments, we deliver the experience live.
Anywhere, anytime, from stadiums to red carpets, breaking news to buzzing festivals, weddings, birthdays, and all sorts of ceremonies. We bring the world to your screen in real time.
It's not just a van, it's a complete mobile production house, a command center, a broadcast beast.
This is more than a broadcast. This is the OB van difference. Live, loud, limitless.
Ready to go live like never before? Book the OB van today and take your event to the world. One powerful broadcast at a time.
To book, call 0705 506 1061 or 0916 101 1061. Email marketing@dominion.org.ng or visit our socials on Instagram @Dominion Broadcast.
Dominion Broadcast, your channel of choice.
Good morning. This is Daybreak News on Dominion Television. My name is Anoluwapo Idowu. President Bola Tinubu has described Nigeria's traditional institutions as vital instruments of peace, unity, and progress, noting that they remain critical partners in his administration's nation-building agenda. The president was represented by the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Senator George Akume, stated this at the annual Igede Agba Festival held in the Oju local government area of Benue State. Speaking at the event, Akume emphasized that traditional rulers play a pivotal role in fostering peace and stability across communities, describing the institution as a veritable tool for solving developmental and sundry issues. The federal government, through the National Agency for Science and Engineering Infrastructure, NASENI, has launched a 75 million naira innovation challenge aimed at creating pathways for young inventors to transform their ideas into viable enterprises and tackle youth unemployment in Nigeria. The Special Advisor on Commercialization to the Executive Vice Chairman of NASENI, Anas Balarabe Yazid, said the challenge aims to identify and grow local innovation. Yazid encouraged young innovators to take advantage of the platform, stressing that ideas do not have to be perfect before submission. The Nigeria Labour Congress, NLC, and federal government workers have demanded an urgent review of the national minimum wage, insisting that the current 70,000 naira is no longer sustainable. They made the demand following both steps taken by several states across the country to increase the minimum wage of their workers above the 70,000 naira benchmark in response to the prevailing economic realities. Acting General Secretary of the NLC, Benson Upa, said that inflation has eroded value of the present minimum wage, leaving many workers unable to meet basic needs. It will be recalled that President Bola Tinubu signed the new national minimum wage bill into law in July 2024, raising the minimum wage from 30,000 naira to 70,000 naira. Ahead of its planned strike slated to begin today, the National Secretariat of the Nigerian Union of Petroleum and Natural Gas Workers, NUPENG, said there is no going back on the industry action. The strike is in protest against the stance of the management of Dangote Refinery not allowing drivers of its imported compressed natural gas (CNG) trucks to join any trade union. In a joint statement signed by Williams Akporia and Afolabi, President and General Secretary, NUPENG maintained that the petroleum tanker drivers branch of its union would refrain from lifting petroleum products from depots nationwide. And now in business, the Nigeria Customs Service Board, NCSB, has approved a de minimis threshold value for low-value consignment imported through express shipment or by passenger baggage. The decision, which takes effect today, was reached at its 63rd regular meeting chaired by the Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister of the Economy, Wale Edun. The board said that the approval aligns with the best global practices that aim to simplify clearance processes for low-value consignment, enhance trade facilitation, and provide clarity for e-commerce stakeholders and travelers. And in sport, Nigeria striker Victor Osimhen has been ruled out of Tuesday's crucial 2026 World Cup qualifying match against South Africa in Bloemfontein. The striker limped off midway through the first half of Saturday's 1-0 win over Rwanda in Uyo after a challenge from Claude Niyo-Mugabo. Further update from the team's camp revealed Osimhen will not be involved in Tuesday's game after the team doctor assessed his injury. The striker is expected to return to Galatasaray for further tests and treatment. You can visit us on our website on www.dominion.org.ng to watch us live and interact with us. You can also follow us across our social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and LinkedIn at Dominion Broadcast and X at Dominion Cast. And as the break news, again, I am Anulu Akpo Idowu. Thank you for watching. Daybreak Live continues shortly.
Live from the heart of the action. Welcome to the nerve center of Next Level Broadcasting.
This is the OB van, where the studio meets the street.
Equipped with cutting-edge cameras, crystal clear audio, real-time switching and broadcast control, we don't just capture moments, we deliver the experience live.
Anywhere, anytime, from stadiums to red carpets, breaking news to buzzing festivals, weddings, birthdays, and all sorts of ceremonies. We bring the world to your screen in real time.
It's not just a van, it's a complete mobile production house, a command center, a broadcast beast.
This is more than a broadcast. This is the OB van difference. Live, loud, limitless.
Ready to go live like never before? Book the OB van today and take your event to the world. One powerful broadcast at a time.
To book, call 0705 506 1061 or 0916 101 1061. Email marketing@dominion.org.ng or visit our socials on Instagram @Dominion Broadcast.
Dominion Broadcast, your channel of choice.
Welcome back. Thank you for staying with us. This is Newspaper Headlines Analysis. My name is Oluwayemi Adelakun. This morning, let's start from Nigerian Tribune. I have this headline, the banner headline actually, that says strike. Nupeng adamant as federal government calls for talks, urges truce. Patron to join strike. Apman national leadership distances serve from strike. A lot to unpack, over the weekend. Nupeng said that they're going to go on strike. Why? Because Dangote will not allow truck drivers to join the union. And of course, Nupeng is saying according to the constitution, they allow that right. And of course, what Dangote is trying to do is an affront to the Nigerian constitution. Nigeria is also asking, is it that Dangote does not have the right to decide whether his workers can join a union or not? I mean, these are the issues that we have in our hands, this morning. Don't also forget that the federal government, through the Ministry of Labour, have called for a meeting between the representatives of Dangote and, of course, Nupeng and other bodies that are that are in this matter. And of course, Nupeng is still saying, regardless of whether we meet with the federal government or not, we are going on a strike. And of course, even NLC is saying we are going to join the strike. So it's an issue that we really need to solve, because we don't want a situation whereby this will lead to scarcity of fuel, more violence, protests across the country. We do hope that this will be resolved, as soon as possible. Away from that headline, let's also check this one that says Nigeria in grip of full-blown security emergency. That's coming from the former presidential candidate of Labour Party, speaking about Peter Obi. And on Sunday, just yesterday, released a statement saying that, all officials, all politicians should not be allowed to travel out of the country until insecurity is reduced drastically. It was a bloody weekend, in some parts of the country, in places like Edo, Borno. About 63 people died in Borno State, 58 civilians, 5 officials. In some places, soldiers died. Even in Edo State, it was a gory sight. You don't want to see the pictures online. When are we going to put an end to insecurity? How did we become so incapacitated about our own issues? Because at a point, Nigeria was instrumental, to helping some African countries, serve matters of, insecurity and insurgency. So what's happening with us? Is it that we do not have, enough resources? Because over time, we see the government, federal government, pump money into the sector to say we want to tackle insecurity. But then, have we seen much result on that? We'll unpack that this morning. Please stay with us. Away from that headline, I also have this one, which is directly linked to the first, or the one I just read now, that says article that cries Borno Boko Haram killing. We must rise to confront menace. He says so. It's really an issue, and I don't think it's something that we should fold our hands about. Something must be done. I say it all the time that really we should not just be about the soldiers and the security operatives. We can also work with us local vigilantes who know this area much more than the soldiers. And recently the president said he's going to consider state police after a lot of pleas, a lot of complaints, reports by people, well-meaning Nigerians who want a better society. I do hope that that can be done as soon as possible, because state police will help us in these areas, because these people, they know their areas much more better. Imagine when you bring someone from Castina to come and be a police officer in your state. Not like he's not going to perform, but then there might be a limit to what he can do. Why? Because he's not familiar with the areas. Away from Nigerian Tribune this morning, let's cross over to Daily Global. I have this one that says, strike. Federal government summons Dangote in a Peng to emergency meeting. I do hope that the representatives will attend the meeting and we can put a stop to this strike that they are planning, because the real essence why the federal government wants to meet with the representatives is to ensure that they do not embark on that strike. Away from that headline, let's also check this one that says Fubara's support base wins ahead of 10-day return. Recall that he was suspended around March this year, and of course he's supposed to come back this September 18, and of course his principal came out a few days ago to say that Fubara is coming back September 18. However, there are some talks around extending that suspension. However, the person that has been in charge of the state, I'm talking about IBAS administrator IBAS, has received some letters to say it's high time you submit your reports about certain things that you've been able to do. I don't know why some persons are agitating for that we should increase this suspension. I really do not get that. Maybe they are talking about, okay, we want IBAS to complete some of the projects that he started while Fubara was also suspended. Let him come back and continue what he started. So I don't know what is going to happen about this matter, but I do hope that Fubara will come back come September 18. Away from that headline, let's also talk about this one that says traditional rulers key to progress and peace. That's coming from President Tinubu, the current president of this country. I also have this headline that says Jonathan opens up an eligibility to run again. I am unstoppable. I don't know when an end will come to this. Jonathan cannot run. Oh, I can run. According to the constitution, I can run. Because when I read some background stories, to this same constitution that the likes of Festus Keyamo and a whole lot of others are banking on to see Jonathan cannot run for president come 2027 because he has been installed twice as the president of this country. I recall that same law that they are banking on was passed in 2018, 3 years after Jonathan left office. Jonathan left office in 2015, and some other lawyers are coming out to say because that law was not in place when Jonathan left office, he has every right to contest as president of this country. And some of my analysts on this show have come out to say they don't see Jonathan contesting. I wish one of them was around this morning because I have the saying that is saying Jonathan opens up on eligibility to run again, and he's saying I am unstoppable. This is Nigeria and this is politics. We cannot tell who is going to run and who is not going to run. Up to now, Peter Obi has not mentioned where he's going to run for presidency come 2027. Away from Daily Global, before I turn to my analyst this morning, I have this headline that says troops eat terrorists in nationwide crackdown. A bandit commander of the skilled women terror suspect arrested, victims rescued. Honestly, there's a lot, and we keep saying issues about this. When are we going to put a stop to this issue of insecurity? Away from that headline, I also have this one that says INEC's recognition of Gabon-led ESCO throws SDP into confusion. Majorly, I think all the opposition parties are going through one confusion or the other. And of course, don't forget, there was a time that the president said, he enjoys their confusion. And then, it's their duty to put their house in order rather than blaming him or the ruling government, which is the APC. I also have this headline that says, no need for strike during talks. Education Minister tells ASU and ASUP. Over time now, a few weeks ago, the government ASUP are threatening to go on strike because of the 2009 agreement. And the federal government came out to say that agreement was not signed. And I ask a question, whose fault is it that that agreement was not signed? 2009, this is 2025. What happened over the time? It's a lot to unpack. I do hope that these people can find a common ground because for like 2 years now, we've not seen anything like strike. People graduate when they're supposed to graduate. Let's not stall the destiny of students because, two parties cannot agree on one thing. I think it's a fine place to leave it this morning. It's time to turn to my analyst so he can help me make sense of some of the headlines that I've read this morning. Let's start from this major headline that I have on Daily Global that says, Jonathan opens up on eligibility to run again. I am unstoppable. I have with me Temitope Ishola, who is a public affairs analyst and, of course, a historian and researcher. Welcome on board.
Thank you very much for having me. Good morning.
Good morning. All right. I'm not sure you're part of my analysts that mentioned that they don't see Jonathan, contesting come 2027. Now he's come out to say, I am unstoppable. I am going to run. What do you make of the theatrics, going on, amongst, some popular lawyers that we have across the country, saying he cannot run. Jonathan is saying, I can run under the Constitution. What do you make of that?
When you hear individuals like Keyamo, you can already tell that they're just playing to the tune that their master is giving them, which is tunable.
Okay.
But if you look at the law, basically, the law cannot be applied retroactively.
Okay.
So the particular law in question that reference is being made to was enacted after Jonathan had left office, and I know it was largely targeted at Osibanjo.
Okay.
Because there was fears of Buhari's health concerns at the early days of his campaign, so which was one of the things that amplified that law being rushed and put into play to forestall a scenario whereby a vice president, having completed the tenure of his boss, not eligible to run again. So it's just complete his tenure and you go off. And that also eliminates the person from contesting back again.
Okay.
So on that premise is why most of them are saying Jonathan cannot come back. But by the law, by the time Jonathan was contesting in 2011 for his own first term, the law was not in place. So he simply completed the late Yaradua's tenure and was to start his own 8-year term before the gang up against him. So I don't pay much credence to Keyamo and the likes. The law is very simple. It's not something that can be twisted. Perhaps if...
Well, it has been twisted over time by some persons.
But I think there are some things that are very clear, cast in gold, basically. If this scenario that happened with Jonathan happened to a vice president after that law has been passed, then all of this would be a cost. We would have been very clear that it can go. But I still expect that they will want to push it all the way to the Supreme Court for more judicial clarification. But based on what basic knowledge of the law is, laws, especially in this context, cannot be retroactively applied.
Okay.
He just has to go. I think he's the only one eligible of every Nigerian on earth right now. He's the only one that law does not apply to, as far as I'm concerned. But like I said, I expect that it's still going to be moved all the way to the Supreme Court for judicial interpretation, but I feel it's just a waste of time. And on the end of Jonathan competing, I believe, I for one do not really see him contesting, not even on the area of legality of this. More of, yes, he's been out of office for like over 12 years almost. So I just feel like his support base has waned. The party in question he wants to run under, his grip is very little on it. So a lot of factors. His wife, Madam Dame Patience, will she give him a go ahead? So there's a lot of things.
She said she doesn't want to come back.
From the moment they left office, Mama doesn't want to come back. So, but like I keep telling people, whatever we see today happening is basically a section of the North that are trying to ensure that power returns back in 4 years, and that are aggrieved with the current president and are scared to take a gamble of Peter Obi are the ones basically pushing this Jonathan's narrative. Jonathan on his own would not come out because he doesn't have that support base. But because there are certain elements in the northern space that they have the structure over there or can wield control or influence over there, are trying to leverage that with Jonathan to bring him back into the scene. And I still maintain if he should contest, Peter Obi contest, then the sitting president will return. So they just have to find a way around it to get one person into the party and rally support. But unless they do that, I feel we'll be wasting time. But there's still a lot of time for them to figure all of that out, at least say till maybe February next year.
Okay.
But by February next year, the handwriting becomes clearer on who is going to contest.
I look forward to that as well. Just speaking about constitutional law, let's talk about Fubara. It was suspended sometimes in March, and of course, and that should elapse maybe around this month.
Yeah.
So even Wike's principal came out to say that he's supposed to come back September 18. But then I read some stories that there are some persons, trying to extend a suspension majorly because they feel IBAS should, continue or complete some of the projects that he started. I don't know, to what gain is that? Why do they want to extend a suspension? He served, that suspension dutifully, really.
I think so in politics, a lot of things happen. Interests are at play. When Fubara was in office, there were certain persons that were ready to die under you with him because him being in power favors them. Same also applies to whoever manipulated the constitution to bring in IBA. I also enjoy him because power is very corrupting. Everybody, if you are sitting at that end of affairs, there's resources, you have power. So nobody takes that power and want to just leave it and let it go like the president had alluded to, that you grab it and you run with it. So that mentality, you can tell that even though it is unconstitutional for him to be there, people would always look for different narratives to justify why he should be there. But I don't see that happening. Okay. Because they've basically returned everything back to status quo before the suspension, which is Wike gaining control back of the state, his boys being in the local government as local government chairman and the likes. IBA also maybe moving some money for, what do you call it, for the legislative functions, contract projects. Those are the monies that they were fighting over, basically. Okay. So right now, Fubara returning is just a toothless bulldog right now. He's just going there as a puppet, just complete this remaining...
What if he has other plans?
He doesn't...
How sure are you?
He can't. It's in his best interest not to have any other issues. They've already shown him who the boss is. So the best thing for him is just to follow through. The perfect time...
But Wike was able to do that to Amaechi.
Yeah, because Wike was much more stronger and firmer than Fubara. I keep saying it. Fubara had all the power to mess up Wike within the first year or second year.
Someone that helped him win the election.
He should have decimated him in politics. And politics, there's no good man or bad man in politics. It's your interest. Fubara kept on treating Wike like my elder brother, my father, my this. But the Wike doesn't care about him. He just cares about his own interest. So at ample point in time in the government, and in the administration before his suspension, Fubara had every opportunity to mess him up, chase him out of the state. But he kept on, just like someone is poking you and you are still having sympathy and message to him that I know the power I wield, I could end you, but at the same time, because of what you have done for me in the past, I'm trying to be mild. But the other person is not concerned about being mild or being gentle. So Fubara has lost that surprise factor. The best he can do is just to follow through with whatever they give him to sign. He's going to sign it, he's going to complete his tenure and retire quietly. I don't see him coming back for a second time. Because every infrastructure of power in the state has gone back to Wike. Okay, so Wike has been burnt once. I don't think it will give him that opportunity to wield any form of power that can hurt him again. Okay,
some analysts are saying for Fubara to gain that power over Wike, he should join the APC and see how the game will turn around.
That won't work.
How?
So Wike right now, based on the political history of the president, whoever does him good, he always repay. Okay. So everything you even see currently happening right now is simply because Wike had done him a favor in getting Rivers State's votes, even though the votes were not meant for him. It was cornered for him, as we've begun to see with results and the likes that have come out of Rivers State and statements political elements are making. So the president just basically favored. There was no basis. If you had to go look at the criteria for enacting a a state of emergency. They manufactured one. There was nothing basically, just manufactured a bomb explosion in one forgotten area of the state, and within 24 to 48 hours they declared emergency.
Okay, Timmy, someone said that the president, suspended Fubara just so that, Fubara will not be impeached, because there have been some underground, workings to impeach Fubara. Do you agree with that?
If we look at it at face value, Fubara was at risk of being impeached.
Okay.
No doubt. But at the same time, Fubara is the sitting governor of the state. And if at some point they had wanted to impeach him, and he had his way, he demolished the complex where they were to sit for his impeachment. So he has many other tricks in the bag that he could have used to evade his impeachment, because at that point in time, his power was becoming much more stronger and stronger in the state. So, but at the same time, because of how well I also know the sitting president, is a cunning man with power also, and a smart man. So I also know that he doesn't put all his eggs in one basket. So that notion that he did it to save Fubara could be a valid one as well.
Okay.
Time would tell whether it's a valid one, because like I said, he's one person that, as much as I don't like him for his policies and the likes, I respect him when it comes to his calculation politically. He knows how to play the long game. He knows how to see many months, years ahead. So I won't be surprised if Fubara is also a tool that he's going to use much later in the years, especially when you are dealing with a Wike that has a traditional history
and that
and
a lot
of
people have warned President Bola Ahmed Tinubu about Wike.
Exactly.
And this person, the way he's going.
So, and Wike's power in the states right now today is just simply because of the backing of the president.
Okay.
The moment the president takes that support away from him and moves it the other way around to Fubara, Wike becomes not.
I'm sure Wike has a plan B. But away from Wike now, and let's talk about Natasha. Still speaking about suspension, I have this headline that says Natasha to resume Senate after London trip. That's coming from a lawyer. So, is this not going to lead to another, issue of violence? Going to the Senate, she's not allowed to enter. Going with the likes of Aisha Yesufu. I know you know about what happened the last time. Yesufu was saying we are going to die. If they are going to kill us, they should kill all of us. She must be allowed to perform her duties and the likes. Do you see Natasha, going back to the Senate after all that has happened? Because some Nigerians are even asking her, you say you have an evidence against this man, but we've not seen anything. And of course, even after going to some international bodies, you still serve full term of that 6 months. Do you see her coming back, really?
She will come back. There will be no noise this time
But
around.
can she go through due process rather than, trying to barge into the Senate without going through the necessary process?
So in Nigeria today, I've come to learn that with the Nigerian political structure today, even across all levels, even in the universities, is becoming a waste of time going to court.
But the court has given us some orders to say, do this, do that, and she has not done most of the things.
So to respond to that, I'll give you an instance of at the very base of our society, which is the universities. A university can sanction a student for 4 years or 3 academic sessions and tell him or her that he's suspended. The student will go to the court at the lowest level of the state, high court and the likes, get an injunction that says the student should be back in class. This university will not act on it, and heavens will not fall. I've seen it happen to 3, 4, 5 students like that. So when you bring that upward in the political place, if at that level, where power is not even as big as up as the Senate, will the judiciary call the Senate president to appear before them to sanction it? They are all.
But now the issue is about Natasha. Is Natasha that is not following what the court
I'm
has
saying
said?
that the Senate itself sanctioned her 6 months.
Yeah.
So whether she went to court and the likes, the Senate or the powers that be were very clear that she was going to go through that 6 months.
Okay.
So now, the only thing that can hinder her from continuing would be if the Senate is per the ethics committee and now say, okay, on the basis of why we suspended her for the 6 months, we found out that she was not remorseful, she still went ahead and did this, and now decided, oh, we still want to extend your suspension.
Because the court asked her to, publish an apology on her Facebook page, pay an amount of money. I don't think she has done most of those things.
I feel all of those things will still be settled internally. For their caliber of individuals, I believe it's behind the scene handshake behind public spaces that would see whatever reconciliation that at this point in time, from what I've seen, which is why I've not really joined much noise with them, is that at the end of the day, it's just the rich that are fighting. They'll find a middle ground at the end of the day. They would make concessions. It's reconciliation that will solve this, not standing on your rights. She can grandstand for as long as she wants. Let Trump even tweet in her favor. Nothing
still will not happen.
Nothing will happen. At the end of the day, she has to find individuals that have the years of either the president, has the years of the Senate president, then they will go. Sadly, that's how I see it. Ordinarily, that shouldn't be so. But I think I'm very realistic. I don't like postulating ideologies and die on those issues because
and it's so apparent what's going on.
When it's so clear what will happen. So if she decides that being in the Senate is worth losing a fraction of her dignity for also. So it's also on the basis of what she's prioritizing. So if I were her, with the knowledge I have as a human, spiritually and the likes, I probably will not even care and decide I want to follow through with it, even if I won't be sitting on this Senate seat until the last day of office. But if I feel like, oh, the money I'm making from there, the resources I'm getting there, my life depends on it, I probably will crawl down and be begging. So that I said, it's left to be seen how well she as a person considers her role in that space and what are the things she's willing to do to get things done. So I feel what is just happening is that the society is really against women also, whereby they want to see a sense of submission, like you come low to them. So I just feel this power play there in general. It's not necessarily about any values, about fighting for the people and the likes. I think it's just individual issues that are at play. And I feel bad also because they are depriving a whole senatorial district in Kogi State of representation, which shouldn't be.
Okay, so away from Natasha, now let's talk about insecurity. You know, it was a bloody weekend. I'm not sure you've seen pictures and videos, you know, in Borno State.
I avoid seeing those
things. You avoid things like that. In Borno alone, 63 people died. 58 civilians, 5 officials. In some parts of the country, soldiers were killed. You know, even when some persons tried to stop the whole thing, there was a counter-attack. In Edo, even in Kaduna, I read another story that some persons were attacked yesterday and a lot of persons were killed. What is going on? Can you pinpoint the main issue now? Because we can say that it's not about the resources. We have the resources. We have the people that can do the job. Can you pinpoint what's going on?
It's very simple. The insincerity of government.
In what sense?
The issues are there, and the issues are very clear. And why do I use the word issues are there and very clear? To we the citizens, it may not be clear as it is, but for individuals at that level that have access of the DSS, the NIA, National Intelligence Agency, DIA, the Defense Intelligence Agency, there is no information whatsoever that they can't get. The president is being briefed daily and the likes. So one thing is very, very, very certain. They know where the problem is. But the lack of political will to act, one, is a problem. Corruption is a problem. There were times where over $1 billion plus, what's $1 billion? Over close to $1 trillion worth of resources were cornered by the heads of the military infrastructure in the country. They didn't buy weapons, they didn't buy boots for the soldiers and the likes. That's even for the army end of the things. But when I'm talking of even politically, the last time I was here, we had conversations along the killing of I think Deborah also this time around.
Yes.
Those are subtle scenarios that showcases the depth of insecurity in the country. What has the government done in that regard? What have they said in that regard? Let's not forget that even insecurity in itself is amplified by the government. So now when I use the word government, I don't mean sitting government, I mean that infrastructure itself, because it's the same thing that happens whether it's PDP, whether it's APC that is in play. The government itself have been paying lip services. Why? Because they are, everywhere they go, highly placed members of the government are going with security and the like, so they don't really feel what people are feeling. So until government itself are sincere, and I use that word with every sense of consciousness by saying, you need to get to the root of the matter. I don't like them coming out today to say, oh, we have done a meeting, we are directing the military to this place. Empower communities. And that's why I'm always a strong advocate of state policing. I'm a very strong advocate for it because there are a lot of crimes that can be nipped in the bud before it becomes bigger issues. Get the police empowered. For instance, I like the Southwest, let me use Oyo State for instance, the Amotekun and the likes. They need to be empowered much more stronger. And when I mean empowered, meaning they should be more funded to have more officers recruited into their ranks.
Okay.
Vigilantes more empowered also for information sharing as well. Then the other layers like the police and above should also be strengthened so that as soon as there are issues, they are quickly identified and nipped in the bud instead of giving so much room for things to get so worse. And that's what we're having in the country today. As simple as even the roads. A small pothole is allowed to fester, to become much big before they now decide on budgeting millions
Speaking of the roads, just recently the president was talking about the 5% tax that will be added to every fair purchase, and he said they want to use that money to fix bad roads across the country. We've seen some coastal construction over time. Did you see that happening?
They're just lying to the people. Well, they're lying to themselves, not to me, basically, because you've not even showed us what you've done with the subsidy you removed. You're not telling us the taxes, what you used to do the road. Okay, what of the budget for maintenance or road or works? Are they saying there was no resources for fixing? So let me be careful with my words.
Okay.
But they're just I can't be optimistic with this government. Why do I say so? Okay. I'm the kind of person that I judge you by the things you do over time. So if you have not shown any sense of consistency over time, whether you are successful in it, at least there should be that spirit that guides it, that, oh, you have good intentions, you are working towards something. So you may not be successful, you may not have hit the mark, but at least when we look at what you are doing, we can see that, oh, you are taking us on a path that looks possible. But you can't just come out of the blues and just say you will do good. When we check your track record, you've not been doing enough good. So that's why I'm that pessimistic with regards to it. They just said it. I'm not even sure the president knows. It's just someone that probably wrote the script for him to say, or they release it as
that's a huge claim, though. That's a huge claim.
That's even the truth, because the president doesn't even have the time to be writing everything.
Okay, let's not complain. Most times, I think he speaks without a script.
Exactly.
Yeah. I need to thank you for being a part of the segment. I think it's a fine place to leave it.
Absolutely.
A big thanks to Temitope Eshola, public affairs analyst, of course, historian and researcher.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for joining us this morning.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you for being a part of this segment. Do well to stay with us. Big story. We come up soon, and Samson Balogun is standing by. My name is Loyeme Adela. I'm saying good morning once again.
Live from the heart of the action. Welcome to the nerve center of Next Level Broadcasting.
This is the OB van, where the studio meets the street.
Equipped with cutting-edge cameras, crystal clear audio, real-time switching, and broadcast control, we don't just capture moments, we deliver the experience live.
Anywhere, anytime, from stadiums to red carpets, breaking news to buzzing festivals, weddings, birthdays, and all sorts of ceremonies. We bring the world to your screen in real time.
It's not just a van, it's a complete mobile production house, a command center, a broadcast beast.
This is more than a broadcast. This is the OB van difference. Live, loud, limitless.
Ready to go live like never before? Book the OB van today and take your event to the world. One powerful broadcast at a time.
To book, call 0705 506 1061 or 0916 101 1061. Email marketing@dominion.org.ng or visit our socials on Instagram @Dominion Broadcast.
Dominion Broadcast, your channel of choice.
Good morning once again and welcome to Daybreak Live on Dominion Television. This is the big story, where we examine issues shaping Nigeria's destiny. Today we take a deep dive into brewing face-off in the petroleum sector, Dangote versus Nupeng, monopoly fears and future of petroleum distribution. Samson Balogun is my name, and thank you for staying tuned. At the heart of Nigeria's economic survival lies petroleum, a sector that has long dictated our fortunes. In recent weeks, tensions have flared between Africa's richest man, Aliko Dangote, with his multi-billion-dollar refinery, and the Nigerian Union of Petroleum and Natural Gas Workers, NUPENG, a union with a storied history of grounding the nation through strikes whenever workers' welfare or national interest is at stake. NUPENG fears that Dangote's dominance in refining and distribution could usher in monopoly, shrink competition, and threaten the livelihoods of thousands of workers. Dangote, on the other hand, insists his refinery offers hope, reduced importation, cheaper fuel, and a stronger economy. But beneath these arguments lies a deeper concern. How do we balance industrial power, national interest, and the welfare of workers in a sector so vital to Nigeria's future? To unpack this complex issue, we are joined by Dr. Babatunde Babasoya, a seasoned public affairs analyst and a communication expert and a medical consultant whose insight will help us understand the wider implication of this crisis. Now, let's go down the memory lane and check the history of NUPENG strikes in the country. In the year 1994, the anti-military protest. The reason? NUPENG, under the leadership of Frank Kokori, embarked on a nationwide strike in protest against the annulment of the June 12, 1993 presidential election and the continued rule of General Sani Abacha. The impact? The strike crippled the fuel supply nationwide and became one of the strongest union-led resistance against military dictatorship. Fast forward to 2003, fuel price hike under President Olusegun Obasanjo at the time. The reason? NUPENG joined other labor unions to protest repeated increases in fuel pump prices by Obasanjo administration. And you ask the impact. The strike led to a temporary halt in petroleum distribution, sparking widespread fuel scarcity. In the year 2007, there was a protest against poor working conditions, and the reason that was given, NUPENG declared a strike to protest poor welfare packages for oil workers and to demand better conditions of service in multinational oil companies. And the impact? Fuel supply in major cities was disrupted until negotiations resumed. In the year 2012, January subsidy removal strike, Occupy Nigeria movement. Following the Goodluck Jonathan administration's removal of fuel subsidy, NUPENG joined the Nigerian Labour Congress, NLC, in a nationwide strike against skyrocketing fuel prices. The country was grounded for over a week until government partially reinstated subsidies. 2017, there was a nationwide warning strike. NUPENG protested mass sackings of oil workers by multinational oil companies, non-payment of benefits, and casualization of staff. And this had an impact. The union threatened to shut down fuel supply across the country, forcing the federal government to intervene. Now in 2020, threatened strike during COVID-19. NUPEC threatened strike action over poor safety measures for tanker drivers, harassment by security agencies, and bad roads leading to frequent accidents. The impact on the people, though not fully carried out, it pressured government to open dialogue with the union. In the year 2022, tanker drivers strike threat. NUPEC tanker drivers are threatened strike over deplorable highways and rising insecurity on major transport routes. The federal government engaged NUPEC to avert a full-scale strike. Thank you for being a part of the show so far. I have with me in the studio Dr. Babatunde Babasoya. Good to have you here.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much for having me. How are you doing?
I'm fine.
Good.
Fine. You look good too.
Thank you.
Okay, now very quickly, Dr. Babasoya. NUPEC has always been known with a long history of using what we call industrial action to push their ambitions and, of course, to push their demands. And why do you think strikes have remained their strongest tool over the years? And has it really worked?
Well, number one, government, since I've been an adult, have been irresponsible. No government has been, no government can come and claim that they are responsible. They are all a bunch of irresponsible clowns.
That's a bold claim.
It is a claim, really. I'll give you an example. ASU is another union, Academic Staff Union of Nigerian Universities. They had a contract, a signed contract with a government. Government is supposed to be a continuum. So if I sign a contract with a legitimate government, it doesn't matter what kind of government it was. When the time for that contract implementation should come, the current government should then uphold the contract. We don't need to discuss it again. We've signed the contract. That's what the contract means. Why do you think ASU went on this one long strike like that? Even they were, you know, their salaries were withheld for that. Tinubu came and paid part of the salary. He didn't pay all the salaries, but part of the salaries were withheld. What happened to the government agents that failed to uphold their part of the deal, necessitating the strike? I had been in the union before. For you to set a strike in motion, you must have an agitation. We have a problem. We're discussing about the problem. Yes, it's a problem. We've identified the problem. So Ibadan chapter is a problem. Lagos chapter is a problem. Kano chapter is a problem. Everybody, then we go to a national meeting. Then we all agree at the national meeting that it is a problem. That's not the strike. We will then write to the government, to the relevant agency that controls that problem, that can bring succor. We say to the Minister of Labour, usually the Minister of Labour has a copy of all the Labour letters. You know, so Labour Minister, blah, 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 we need this, we need that. First letter. We will fix meeting for another 3 months, national meeting. At the end of the first letter, the Executive Council will go around trying to pressure the Labour Minister with the letter. See, the letter has come. Then that's when we go and talk to people that we know. Oh, yeah, I know the director, I know the PS in that, I know. So everybody will put, the Minister of Labour will not say anything. Nothing. You will write the second letter. So at the end of that year, you are just writing letter to reiterate, to reinform, that's what we are calling it. And that's how we word our letters. Then by the second year, we issue a notice. Failure to meet us at this point will result in nothing but a strike action. Even at that time, federal government agencies don't listen. But when you issue that 21-day ultimatum that is mandated by law to be given, that's when they now come on air. Now, to average Nigerians, who had not been privy to the work done last year, you would think we started now. We are all trying to meet we are all trying. What are you trying to? You've been writing since last year. What are you meeting? So, that's why strike will be inevitable. No union. has successfully brought a government to the dialogue table without a looming strike or an ongoing strike? No union. Even labor union will not say they have done it. So all governments are irresponsible. Because by our own statute, constitution, the primary purpose of government shall be the welfare and the security of the citizens and their properties. Shall be. So, if a government denies the welfare of its people, we need to strike to remind them. Do you think they're responsible? Don't worry,
okay, Dr. Babasoya, now, when it comes to balancing workers' rights and national interest, looking back in history, with NOPENG, how do you think they are fared?
NOPENG had done a wonderful job when strike actions were needed. During the era of the Francovi Kokori that you talked about, they had been fantastic. They were part of the leaders against the military rule, the Babangida, then the Abacha administration. Captain Kokori went to jail because of that. So that we needed them. Strike actions are inevitable in Nigeria. Across the world, all unions maintain the right to go on strike. They have a different connotation to what a strike means. Sometimes a strike is we will not work between this period and this period. Sometimes a strike is termed total paralytic, because at this point, apart from industrial dispute, we are declaring common sense dispute. That's what we're saying. So when we hear total paralytic strike, we're saying that your heads are not just correct.
We could just be mad a little bit with, with those claims.
No. I've led union strikes before. We will say we want to do a non-paralytic strike. You go on strike, you go to work in the morning, you will not take calls. You go to work in the evenings, you will not take calls. You will not see these ones, you will select. But you will keep the code that services will run at a skeletal level. That's what you do. Why we know that a responsible government will meet us halfway. Federal government is even better.
When we talk about Dangote Refinery, some Nigerians, they see Dangote Refinery as a blessing, while others see monopoly. Where do you belong?
I see Dangote Refinery as an inevitability. Whether or whether. Now, let me explain myself. We've been at this battle. I don't think that since we discovered oil in Nigeria, I'm not sure we had any benefit like that of that oil. Some people have benefited on behalf of all of us, and the remaining all of us have been left to just count it as part of our destiny. Oh, we have oil in Nigeria. So, let's go back a bit in the history. Obasanjo's tenure at the second term, towards the end of the second term, he realized that the oil problem. Now, from his time, he was also the Minister of Oil, Minister of Petroleum Resources. Right. So usually you see that this one now, Lopo Ebiri is the Minister of State. You wonder where is the Minister of Petroleum Resources itself. That's
the president.
It's an aberration of all that is normal. You don't locate yourself in a ministry. What's your problem? But because of the sewage inside that place, the president will feel, okay, let me be there.
It has been a trend anyway.
It is a trend. It is a bad trend.
I think it was only Umar Musa Yar'Adua.
Towards the end, he realized that the sewer in the system cannot be. It just won't happen. You know what he did? He called Shell. Said, come on, partner with us. They run this thing. Shell looked at Nigerian
refinery.
I said, this thing. After some time, Obasanjo called them again. Okay, you know what? Don't partner. Take it. Run it. They looked at it again. After some time, Obasanjo, what is the problem? They told him, the problems are many. We will not be able to solve it. We will deal with what we know how to deal with. We can just be lifting oil. Let the NNPC be doing what they are doing with what they are doing. Dangote came, collected a team together, about $750 million at that time. paid the federal government and took over the management of the Port Harcourt refinery. If they had allowed it to work since 2007, by now, we would not be here. But when Yar'Adua came in, the person that he made Minister of Petroleum, we rescinded on that deal.
Cancelled the agreement.
Tore the papers. Paid Dangote his money. Returned the refinery to the clowns who were running it before. And then what since 2007, we have spent more than $2 billion since 2007. Somebody gave us 750 million to run it. We took it from him. We have paid more than $2 billion on that refinery now.
Now, Doctor, let's
not working.
Let's do a comparative analysis on government businesses in Nigeria, namely the Nigerian refineries, be it Kaduna, Port Harcourt, and the other ones.
Why did you put a refinery in Kaduna? What oil are you lifting there?
We are still going there. 2, Ajaokuta is still rolling. It's still there. And when you look at the current situation, it's becoming more business.
The Nigerian government.
Every business the Nigerian government does
has no business in business.
Seems to fail.
It will fail. You know why it will fail? Because the union... I give you an example. We effectively realized that the refineries are no longer working. Yet, we did not fire the members of staff of the refineries. All of them, see, they were going to work. They were saying to their wives and husbands at home, my dear, I'm going to work. That's... Hello? Let us say 2007, Obasanjo left. Let's say 2010. It was clear, even to the mentally retarded, that the refineries are no longer working. We were importing fuel. From Jonathan, we were importing fuel. So what happened? They were paying them. 4 refineries. They were getting paid for doing nothing. This NUP, that is the NUPEN people are the junior workers.
Junior workers.
The Pengasan are for the senior workers. They were the managers of the refineries. They were the directors. They go on strike to say these refineries are not working. We need to work. Who go on strike for that one? No. They come to work. They put on the air condition. They do. Driver will carry you. They eat. And then they collect salary for nothing. Zero function. They did 2010 to 2024, which was last year. What was the value added by any of the refineries and all the refineries workers? Why can they explain in triplicate why they should not have been fired and the salaries deducted back pay for swindling the federal government? Because they were not at work. They just wake up in the morning, they go there, they sit down, and then they embarrass the place. Who ran into the ground? Who managed it to the ground? If they make you a manager of this station and this station fails, who do you think they should come and ask? Me?
Now, before we go into why, let me ask you this question. The same applies to the whole NEPA before it became PHCN.
All the PHCN,
TCN, before they split.
GENCO, TCN,
it was when it was becoming IBEDC, then they had to split.
Those are discos. We have GENCO, we have... See.
But then the problem persists. The same problem.
The problems... See, all the businesses that were done, it's a bad thing. No? In 1957, Awolowo's government in the West here, in the Ibadan here, sat down and said, for the first time in Africa, there will be television in this country. France came here to watch television. Only Britain had television, United Kingdom. The French people, they came here. They saw television, portable television, here in Nigeria. They didn't see it in their country. They saw it here. We were that advanced. This same Nigeria broke, did whatever, went, mail, hey. All that NTA, whatever, nothing. Until they concessioned it to cable carriers.
Cable carriers.
And then that's with the late time that we're enjoying ourselves now. When NITEL failed us, to the point where NITEL failed everybody. Watching this program, half of those watching this program will be watching it on their phones. In the days of NITEL, what will you do? Well, we are paying for it. By 1993, the water works started failing. Akibod came to the West, came to Ogun State at that time. And they started what they call the sinking of boreholes. They could sink boreholes at the commercial rate. And that was the end. So before that, we would do well or do deep well. Just do. Now there is borehole. And since that time, you know that the government of Ogun State, one of the government of Ogun State, said that they will go around and collect water tariff from everybody that has borehole in their compound because they were the ones that caused the waterworks to fail. The Oyo State Waterworks is there. People are working there. People go there to work every day. Have you seen the government water? But Oyo State government is paying those workers. When one thing will happen now, it will cause problem. We will stay, they are still the same thing. We will not learn. We will not learn. They are there. So, waterworks failed. NEPA failed. NITEL failed. The ones that could be sold have been sold. So, in Lagos now, they're enjoying light. I have friends in Lagos now, they say, once our light goes like this, they just, before you even get to where the generator is, they're sorting you out. We just want them to do. You know why we have a problem with the NEPA people, with the power people now? The TCN. The GENCOs claim that they are generating 7,000 megawatts. The DISCOs claim that they can distribute 7,000 megawatts. Those are the two private companies. The Transmission Corporation of Nigeria, federal government company, claims that they cannot do more than 3,500 megawatts. So if you load more than 3,000, you will hear that thing that you always hear now, grid collapse. So you have grid collapse. So the cog in the wheel of progress is actually the part where the government controls. And we have a minister of power. Who recently was caught
away from
was caught with a power bank.
Okay.
And that on that day,
Doctor,
I said to myself, I said, if I were the president, and this picture was, I will just ask the guy, go home, just go home. You've been embarrassing enough. Now, this is the crown jewel of a minister of power. He was caught with a power bank. And I said,
okay, he could have been on the move for some time.
I don't care what movement.
Needed a source of power.
Which movement? Was he working?
Away from there, Doctor, do you think NUPEN's concerns about job losses and reduced competition are valid?
It's
or
not
just overstated?
They are not valid. See, let's be clear. Let's be clear. When I was growing up, there is Nigerian Union of Teachers. That's the Union for Teachers. NUT. Then there is the All Nigerian Conference of Principals of Secondary Schools, ANCOPS. That's the Union for Principals. That's the senior and the junior union. Right. Since we started creating private secondary schools, did you see NUT threatening to go on strike because the unions of the secondary school teachers didn't join NUT? It didn't happen. The principals of those secondary school, private, did the ANCOPS, did they threaten to go anywhere because these ones did not join them? There was no labor at that time. All these two members are statute members of Nigerian Labour Congress. Labor did not breathe that time. Okay, so put that one aside. NITEL staffs, the old NITEL, all of them were members of the union now. Right. When all these, should we mention their names? All these, whether they are red or yellow or green or whatever color they purport to fly their flag, when they came and they took over the airwaves and they started providing us with data and phone call services, the people who went to work there. Are those members working in the are members of the union of NITEL, the old NITEL? No. So, the right to associate with a union, it is clear. I am JB, there was Ratawu. No, that one concerns you. Radio and Television Theatre Workers Union of Nigeria. Ratawu, I remember, because I was there when they were doing the funding. It was the old one. Now, this year, who was once time a member of that Ratawu now has gone to do another one. Now he's calling people now. Union is calling people to come and join. Is it not just a routine thing? Are you in union? So, let's be clear in our mind. A private man sets up a business for nobody's father gave 20 billion. It's him. If he had done that thing and he had failed, he would have gone down in history. All of us would have said, he too do self. Maybe they do petrol, he do sugar, he do cement, he do this one, he do. He just want to capture everything. Is that not what we will say? But the man did it now. He borrowed money, collect gray hair. He did it. He said, Dangote, he said, I want to make the price of fuel cheaper. I think the only way I can make it cheaper is I control the distribution. So that distribution cost to the end seller, end seller are the petrol stations. We are the end users. They are the end sellers. So from them to us. So the end sellers, if they can remove the cost of transporting the fuel, they will sell it cheaper to Nigerians because it will get to them cheaper. Abi, so he then said, let's bring CNG, because CNG, the journey from here to Maiduguri by CNG, if you use the same journey, if you buy petrol from here to Lagos, 300 billion. I said, you know what we are going to do is that 300 million is going to be used to build one CNG factory, one CNG converting factory. So you can see policemen follow your priority. It will not do 1 year. All the buses in Nigeria, in this your state, will have been covered by CNG, and the cost of living will have gone down without. That is a sensible government thinking about the welfare, which is the primary responsibility.
Can we now narrow this down?
So make it cheaper. He doesn't have to make it cheaper. Let me remind you, when the first 2 carriers in Nigerian airwaves, people that provide phone call and data, there was no data, it was just phone call and text messages. When they came, they told us SIM card for 40,000 naira. It was per minute. In those days, if you call and your call gets to 57 minutes before you say off, the call will not go off. I don't know how they will do it from that side, but the thing will do 57, 58, 59, 00, 01. Then they will bill you for 2 minutes. So once your call gets to 57 seconds, you just continue to talk because you know that there is nothing you can do. Came and he started work by introducing per second. The 2 other farmer carriers, they went to they immediately. Who benefited?
Nigeria.
We. Dangote is going to. If NNPC, NUPE, they want to make any noise, let them strike because the government is not working. Let them strike because they will now not have a job to do. They are now saying it is not Dangote's responsibility to provide job for them. It is the government that they sign contract for. And I mean, why? Explain it to me in English. We say we are not importing fuel. NNPC is importing fuel. Importation of fuel in Nigeria is costlier than Dangote's fuel. Explain it to me because it's not clear. And all the noise that we are making, the entire refinery in Nigeria, Kaduna, Port Harcourt, and Warri, will refine 60, 100, and 120. Those are the 60,000 liters, 100,000, and 120,000 liters. So that's how much? 220 plus 6, 280. 20,000 liters of per day. That's the total refinery capacity in Nigeria. Dangote has 650,000. So explain it to me. What are they going to do? So please, if Nupeng goes on strike now, they go on strike now. The buses are now arriving. They just created a pathway for Dangote to walk into the market unchallenged. They handed over the market to Dangote.
Now, let me ask you this. Could this dispute affect foreign investment in Nigeria?
How?
And most definitely, let me now add this to it. How might small players in the petroleum distribution be affected if Dangote dominates the industry?
Somebody will dominate the industry. There is always the alpha in any industry. If you look at all the industry, look at this, our industry here, this station, television, whatever, broadcasting industry. I mean, if they ask you, who are the top people in Nigeria? If you want to do a national coverage, who do you go to? In the world, you say CNN. Abi? Those are the so, in fact, I remember there was a crisis that happened a while ago when a lady was beaten up by one Rear Admiral staff along Muri Okonla Road. And everybody was saying, no, it happened, it didn't happen. You know what happened? People just send the thing to iReport in CNN. iReport started showing the thing on CNN. That was when the Nigerian Navy came to say, okay, it happened. The Nigerian Navy had come out to deny the report. But the iReport people just showed the thing like this. We just say, that's how powerful CNN will be. CNN, BBC, Al Jazeera, those are the top dogs. Now, under those ones, you know, we have Reuters. Who watch Reuters? Nobody. But all these 3 stations take their news from Reuters. They know. Who watches AP Press? Do they have a television? No. They carry the news directly. So this thing goes through AP Press. But nobody watches them. The top dogs in cyberspace now, Google, Yahoo, end story. Does it mean that we don't have other major players under it? But these are the top dogs. That will be Dangote, top dog. If you want to do your small thing by your small side, do your small thing by your small side. It will pay you. Everybody, there are 250 million Nigerians. 250 million Nigerians. Let us imagine that we group all of us together in groups of 5. So 1 man, 1 wife, 3 children, 5. So that's 50 million families. So that means that we all have 50 million cars, minimum. I'm not talking about people that I'm not talking about those ones. So that if you see their compound, there are more cars than the whole street. Right? But 50 million cars, 50 million generators, 50 million everything. Do you know what that means? That if fuel can get to them, I'm not even talking about people like me and you that have cars. No, I'm talking about the guy who wakes up every day. He carries his organizer. That is organizer thing. He carries it. He puts it there. He does every day. That's what he does. If he can get cheaper petrol, 200 naira cheaper, 300 naira cheaper petrol, you think that he's not going to be happy? The guy who barbs our head, who has his Abetama neighbor, small generator, he goes. If he can get cheaper, do you think it will not become a cumulative effect in the economy? The taxi driver, the bus driver, the Okada, the Marwa people, who every time they go on, this is one thing. You know what they do? They don't put fuel in their Okada for the whole run. The Marwa, the Micra driver, they don't put fuel in their car for the whole run. They know that if I leave Ojo and I'm going to Dugbe, that's my end point. This amount of fuel is enough to take me there. So when they load in Dugbe, the first thing they do is to enter filling station, put that small fuel. They move. That's how they manage the thing. Do you know? But if they get things cheaper, their lives become better. These things will come down gradually. If that's what Dangote wants to do, please. Without Dangote. Now, let's lay it where the problem was. When President Tinubu came and said, subsidy is gone, subsidy is gone. That's his first speech. For subsidy is gone. There are 250 million Nigerians. If you count the people who abused the subsidy system in Nigeria, who abused it, who made money out of it, who turned it into something that we are suffering for now, they are not 1 million. They are not 1 million Nigerians. They are not up to 1 million, the people that are responsible.
So why was it difficult?
The federal government could not face those people. They would rather we suffer together. And so we are suffering together. The Dangote now said, you know what, we will do this well when we finish the deal. If they say Dangote should not sell into Nigeria, do you think that it is prudent for Dangote? They are lifting the oil from Dangote across Nigeria. They are lifting in dollars. They are selling the crude to Nigeria. Only Nigerians sells crude to Dangote in Naira. It's not that they are selling it in Naira. If a Naira is 1,600 to the dollar, and we want to buy
Naira equivalent,
they just get the Naira equivalent, so that it removes 40% of the demand. Now, since we've been doing that, have you asked yourself, has Naira appreciated by that 40%?
Now, away from there, Doctor, do you think regulatory bodies in Nigeria are strong enough to control monopoly if it arises?
No, they are not, because they are not interested in controlling any monopoly. The Nigerian Corporate Commission has demonstrated their lack of capacity to do that. When the 2 first carriers of service and data told us that they could not do per minute, per second billing, and the 3rd carrier came, and then everything changed. It changed in 2 weeks. The NCC did not punish these people. They didn't punish them.
They left them.
They left them alone.
No. Yeah.
The DPR did not. The NMDPRA that runs the downstream oil sector has not been able to punish anybody for doing anyhow. Nobody is. Nigeria, do it. Get away with it.
Now, lastly, before we go, Dangote is saying, look, there is no room for unionism in this place.
More
and of course, Nupenga saying, look, you have to be on board with us.
Why
you have
is
to be
it
together.
that it is
and the federal government has summoned them to, you all should come to the same table. And let's have a discussion.
Not a
what do you think the outcome will look like?
The only one outcome that I can entertain is that if we cannot unionize the workers of the private data carriers in Nigeria, we cannot unionize the workers of the private universities in Nigeria, the workers of the private secondary schools in Nigeria, the workers in private banks in Nigeria. Hello? What head has Dangote carried that he is the one that must be punished for the crime of the federal corporate? So now, Dangote is paying his staff very well. Dangote is doing well for his workers, doing welfare. Suddenly, Nupen wants to go on strike because somewhere somebody did not wake up on the right side of the bed. Labor union calls for a strike. It's not even a strike of the labor union just said there should be a strike. will Dangote's worker now go on the strike? Have you ever seen a private medical doctor go on strike because the doctors' association is going on strike?
Okay, now how can we achieve industrial growth without undermining workers' rights and unions like NUPENG?
Labor law will be more strictly enforced. One, casualization of labor, which is the thing that NUPENG should prevent. If you go to the Port Harcourt people now, you go to the Warri people now, go to the Kaduna people. I mean, I don't want to talk about Kaduna refinery because that was when common sense left through the window. Common sense escaped the country through the window. That area of Nigeria has no oil deposit. So you put a refinery there, then you pipe oil
down to Kaduna.
That's at that point, somebody should have called us, God should have called us to say, I think you guys should go back to colonization because I think that your head is collectively incorrect. At that point,
we have to go.
But the issue of you go to Port Harcourt, you go to Warri now, you see casualization. You go to all these places.
We have to go. Our time is well spent on the show. We say thank you for joining us on the show this morning. It has been an engaging session with you, and we do hope to have you back on this seat very soon. Now, the clash between Dangote and NUPENG is more than a boardroom battle. It is a defining moment for Nigeria's oil economy. The decision made today could shape fuel availability, job security, and even economic stability tomorrow. Will government mediation restore balance? That's a question, and we'll still ask that. Can Nigeria achieve industrial growth without undermining workers' rights? As another question. Or are we simply heading for another cycle of strikes, scarcity, and hardship? That's the last question on this show this morning. You answer that yourself. These are questions we'll continue to ask here on The Big Story on Daybreak Live. Thank you, Dr. Babatunde Babasanya, for joining us and for your analysis and perspective. And thank you, our viewers out there, for staying with us. Stay tuned. More insightful discussions are ahead of us on this show. Daybreak Live continues after this. This is still Dominion Television, your channel of choice. Now, let's go on a quick break. And when we return, the show continues. Samson Balogun is my name.
Live from the heart of the action. Welcome to the nerve center of Next Level Broadcasting.
This is the OB van, where the studio meets the street.
Equipped with cutting-edge cameras, crystal clear audio, real-time switching, and broadcast control, we don't just capture moments, we deliver the experience live.
Anywhere, anytime, from stadiums to red carpets, breaking news to buzzing festivals, weddings, birthdays, and all sorts of ceremonies. We bring the world to your screen in real time.
It's not just a van, it's a complete mobile production house, a command center, a broadcast beast.
This is more than a broadcast. This is the OB van difference. Live, loud, limitless.
Ready to go live? Like never before. Book the OB van today and take your event to the world. One powerful broadcast at a time.
To book, call 0705 506 1061 or 0916 101 1061. Email marketing@dominion.org.ng or visit our socials on Instagram @Dominion Broadcast.
Dominion Broadcast, your channel of choice.
Welcome back from that short break. The show is still Daybreak Live right here on Dominion Television, the Monday edition. Keep it locked on this dial. We have a lot to still unpack on this dial today. Do well to link up with us on all social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok at Dominion Broadcast, and on X, formerly Twitter, at Dominion Cast. You can also watch us live on our website, www.dominion.org.ng. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Drop your comment there. We'll surely take them on this show. Now, straight to Trend Watch. Yemi Adilaku is here with me in the studio.
Yes, and I'm back to be here. Well done. So, what we have for Trend Watch this morning says NLC demands minimum wage review, says 70,000 are no longer sustainable. I don't think this is the first time that NLC will come out to say we need to increase.
It's now a routine, actually.
Definitely. Last year, I think about last year, NLC was saying, let's put it at 250,000 naira. So how they arrived at 70,000 naira, I still cannot wrap my hand around it. Because there were meetings with, the NLC leader and, of course, the members of that.
Minister of Labour.
Yes, with the federal government. So if you want it to be, set at 250,000 naira, how did you agree to 70,000 naira? So these are the issues. And apart from that, let's also talk about the leadership of NLC. A lot of persons have issues with who is currently leading. They feel like, sometimes when they threaten to go on strike and then they later meet with the federal government, few hours later, the headline will change. The strike has been suspended. So why is it? This is the same issue that ASU is having with the federal government. You threaten to go on strike, you go on strike. At the end of the day, you meet with the federal government. You agree. Imagine ASU agreeing to what was not signed in 2009. And in 2025, we are still dealing with that issue now. So these are the issues. If you have a meeting with the federal government, can you agree to things that can benefit the people? Instead of, coming back later? Because now the review for new minimum wage will not be done until 3 years later. When was the last one done? Just last year. So before we expect another review now, let's be looking at 2026, 2027. These are the issues. So why are you coming out to clamor for an increase now? Don't also forget, they have also made claims about the fact that, okay, Imo is now paying 104,000 naira.
And Ogun is also looking for the same.
They are even telling Ogun State to increase to 104,000. If Imo can increase, what is wrong with Ogun? Because Ogun is also up there when it comes to resources and IGR. So they're also saying if Ebonyi can pay 90,000 naira, then Lagos State should also increase from 85,000 naira to maybe 100 or above. So these are the issues. They are now telling federal government that if the state governors can increase the minimum wage, why can't the federal government also shoot it up? Don't forget that the federal government has increased the inflow of every state government. That's why some are even receiving like 500 increase. So what do you make of this matter? This is what I say about it. Before you agree to anything with the federal government, make sure it is signed. Make sure it will better the lives of the people before you move on. Don't come back 9 months later or 6 months later to still come and complain about the same issue. That's what I make of the matter.
Right. I think, you see, your angle is fine, but I want to come look at it from a different perspective.
Okay.
And I think, labor unions can do better when it comes to negotiations. But most definitely, I think they are fighting amiss. They are not looking in the right direction. See, it's one thing to fight until the country becomes better for everyone, not just the workers. There are some people out there who don't even work with the government and they need to survive on a daily basis. So if we are looking in the direction of how do we strengthen the Nigerian economy? How do we give value to the Nigerian naira? And of course, how do we soften life and, give people, the soft landing they deserve, when it comes to at least cushion the effect of the economy on the people. I'm not talking about giving palliatives, sharing 1 Congo or 2 Congos of rice for the people.
That one doesn't work.
All I'm saying is, there are ways you can do it. I mean, if there is a will, what is missing as we speak is the political will to get things done. Because if the government actually wants to do it, if you could remove fuel subsidy in 1 day just by a declaration, words of mouth, no document signed, automatically you can get things done so easily. So it's not rocket science. Now, one of the things that is currently giving problems to Nigeria and Nigerians is the exchange rate. I mean, a naira to 1,500 and something naira, depending on where you are exchanging from, I mean, that is too much. I think this government met it as a particular price, and of course, the last administration also met it as a particular price. Why can't we look at, instead of floating the naira and, you know, making it determine itself, the CBN can actually do better by pinning down naira to a particular price. And I mean, with that, investors will be able to plan. We know, oh, naira is 600 naira, of course, naira to a dollar is 600 naira, and the budget on that for their businesses. You imagine someone who has planned for a business for the year, and then all of a sudden, overnight, after you have probably taken money from a client to execute a project at 600 naira per dollar, and then, you know, overnight, when you have not even gotten the goods you want to get, and then someone says exchange rate is now 1,000 plus. I mean, how do you bridge the gap? I mean, that's too much. But then I feel like it's not about the people anymore. It's about the people in power. If they want to get it done, they can do it. And I feel people, when going to, you know, the polling unit, when 2027 comes, these are things they should look out for. There should be issue-based politics. If, you know, there is a manifesto, and of course a candidate is campaigning, look for issues that affect you. Not just, oh, we'll build houses, we'll fix your roads. These are not the basic issues anymore. Survival seems to be the basic issues to me. Okay,
speaking about, you know, some of the decisions that has been taken by this current administration, I think it boils down to the president and also people that are part of this administration. For instance, this is democracy. So if before the government can pass, or before a bill can be passed to become a law, I mean, the Senate must approve it. Some certain persons must be part of it. So why is it that, you know, people who are in charge of making things work for us, or people who are supposed to speak up for us, they support all of these bills and then they pass the bill, and at the end of the day, you know, it affects Nigerians. Even the
so-called representatives of the people at the floor of the house. I mean, it's a lot to unpack.
Definitely.
I do hope we can take at least one or two comments. At least just one or two. There is a comment here that says it's the president that uses his mouth to say he's met his revenue target for the year, and if Opus or Dema can increase the minimum wage to 100K plus, FG should do 150K. Simple. And then there's another comment that NLC is a joker. They cannot even push for the implementation, consequential adjustment of the 70K minimum wage, yet they are making headlines because they want Nigerian workers feel as though they have their interest at
Speaking of that, 70% of Nigerians no longer believe in NLC. Right. Another comment is saying a bag of rice is 60K with 10K change from the minimum wage. Nigeria will work in our lifetime.
That's why I said, you know, it's more than just, you know, say we want to earn so amount of money. If you like earn 350K as minimum wage in Nigeria, it is still not going to work. It is not going to work. How about when you earn 350K and a bag of rice becomes 300,000 naira? So it's a lot to unpack. It's not just about, you know, how much you earn. It's about the value of what you earn. What can it get you? That's
another thing that the government must look at is reducing the price of food. That we sort a lot of things. That will ease, I mean, the burdens of Nigerians a lot. And until that is done, we can keep talking about let's increase minimum wage. And of course, we are still going to be on that matter. We do hope that they can watch this show and of course take some things from some of the things we are not really economists.
I think talking about that, I think people do listen. They do watch shows and of course they take positives from there. Just over the weekend, you know, there was something we discussed on another show on this dial, and then we saw it affected just yesterday, you know, in the sporting sector. And I mean, that's a great achievement.
A good one. We just hope we can replicate that in politics.
In politics,
definitely.
All right, sir, thank you for being a part of the show so far today. This will be the convenient time to draw the curtains on today's edition of Daybreak Live on Dominion Television. We say thank you for joining us. Link up with us on all socials, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok at Dominion Broadcast, and on X, formerly Twitter, at Dominion Cast. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, watch us live, and of course, I will definitely take your comments. And on our website, it's at www.dominion.org.ng. To everyone, every member of the crew, we say thank you for being a part of this show. Now, each day is a fresh piece of paper to write something new. Today is Monday. You can start afresh and achieve greatness. Samson Malogun is my name.
All right, thank you for being a part of the show. Do well to join us same time tomorrow, 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. as we bring to you fresh stories and sparking debate across the country. My name is Oluwayemi Adelakwa, and before I go, I want to tell you to do the right thing really does not cost a thing. Ensure you do the right thing at all times so we can have a better society. Thank you for joining. Good morning.